For those of you who broke up with a partner after being together for 5 or more years, what was the reason that made you finally walk away? He ruined my life and made me not feel like a person anymore. He stifled every attempt at growth, forced me to quit most of my passions to cater to his insecurities, was occasionally violent, and gave me extreme anxiety. He threatened to hurt our animals, would forcibly keep me awake and kick indoors during arguments, isolated me from my family and friends, and made me responsible for his mental health because he wouldn't seek therapy. Basically, he wasted the years 18 to 24 of my life. Leaving him felt like breathing again. After 6 years, I finally realized that I didn't need proof that he was cheating and lying to break up with him. I could just be done. I remember coming home and telling him to move out. He asked what happened, and I said that I was sick of being miserable with him and I'd rather just be miserable about a breakup and then heal and move on. Guess what? He confessed to cheating the entire relationship about a year or so after we broke up. I was right the whole time. No proof needed. We were not good for each other. We did the young dumb thing of keeping going back after breaking up over and over. Then we moved to a new city together to see if we could make it work with a fresh start. It never works. It got really toxic. I was kind of immature at the time, so didn't express myself well, and all the things she wanted to be annoyed me and were the opposite of what I wanted in a partner. We actually ended it pretty amicably and were just like, yeah, this isn't working. She was basically already seeing this new guy and they eventually got married. I ended a 7-year relationship after having a complete breakdown, which led to a doctor explaining to me just how abusive his behavior really was. She spelled it out. If someone keeps having sex with you while you're sobbing and blacking out from pain, that's rape. If someone can stay aroused while their partner is terrified and in agony, that person is not safe to be around. Being forced into sex while half asleep, physically fighting off someone's hands, and constantly being told that serious health issues are just excuses to deny them, that's abuse, plain and simple. He would even pull out huge knives and press them against his wrists or throat whenever I tried to stand up for myself. He'd say I was lucky he learned to control his temper, or else I'd be in danger. He genuinely believed that as long as he didn't use a closed fist, nothing he did counted as abuse. He will never accept responsibility. In his mind, I left him no choice, and everything he did was reasonable. I put up with it for years because he broke me down so much that I believed no one would treat me any better. He convinced me I was unlovable, difficult, and I should just be grateful he tolerated me. Even after I left, he stalked me for months. The biggest relief I've ever felt was finding out he'd moved on with someone else, because it meant he finally left me alone. Now, my life is completely different. I'm married to the love of my life, someone who makes me feel valued and cared for every single day, and I'm less than 2 weeks away from giving birth to our first child. The best decision I ever made was kicking him out and rebuilding my sense of self-worth. We grew apart and found purpose and comfort in very different things. She became more devoted to her faith in that community. Meanwhile, I realized that faith wasn't important to me anymore. I was actively questioning it, and instead of comfort, I felt suspicion, both toward the faith itself and the community around it. We had been having problems and decided to take some time apart. When we got back together around the holidays, she immediately noticed I wasn't wearing the crucifix she had given me. I admitted that I no longer considered myself of the faith, and that this was the conclusion I had come to during our time apart. After we talked for a while, she said she had a gift for me, a leather-bound Bible. She told me I should read it and then we could sit down together and discuss it. Eventually, if I felt comfortable, I could even join her Bible study group. It felt like she completely rejected the painful conclusion I had struggled so much to reach. The last time we met, I returned both the Bible and the crucifix I had worn for years. The closest she came to acknowledging what I'd said was telling me she'd hold on to them for when I needed them again. That was over 30 years ago. Now she spends her time abroad doing missionary work and teaching. Every year she comes back to visit family, but she has never once reached out to me. I guess she finally believes me. My husband of 20 years just confessed something horrifying. He said he was sexually attracted to our oldest daughter. She was 18 at the time. There were absolutely no warning signs, no red flags, nothing to suggest this before.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, you read it correctly. I always had this growing suspicion that I was married to a very bad person. It started as just a gut feeling. I never had solid evidence except for those countless late nights I spent downstairs alone, restless, wondering what he was actually doing. He became paranoid and accused me of cheating, which I never did, got angry a lot and even asked me to do things I wasn't comfortable with, and I always said no. One day he said something really disturbing about me at work, the police station, and his colleagues came over to check what was happening. They talked to us separately, and that night he left with them. I never let him come back. Later, he ended up in prison for something else entirely. Turns out, my gut instinct was right all along. What still makes me angry is that little voice inside me was warning me from the very beginning, but I ignored it and talked myself out of it for years.
I dated her for 5 years, and I was her first boyfriend. I knew it could either make us or break us. In the end, though, we just weren't right for each other. She ended up cheating on me with 2 of my ex-friends. We were young, it was high school, and I've definitely learned a lot since then. Now I'm engaged to an old classmate from college, and I couldn't be happier. I wasn't ready to settle down. I always flirted with others, and I knew I wasn't happy. I left, and she has now slept with everyone from my past, and is even dating my boss from those days. It's been 10 years. I have children, a wife, and I'm super happy with my life. Meanwhile, she's still sleeping with the old high school friend group. Did I do her or myself a favor by leaving? Yes. We just grew apart. I wanted to improve myself, maybe have kids someday, move into a nicer place that wasn't some old block from the Soviet era, go out every now and then, have a fulfilling job, learn new things, and find ways to improve our neighborhood. Basically all the usual life stuff. He, on the other hand, wanted to stay at a job he complained about every day, come home and spend hours on the computer until bed, and on weekends just sit alone, watching something with headphones on or visiting his parents, basically doing nothing. He acted like he was decades older than he actually was, and he was barely in his early 30s. When I finally broke up with him, he said he never wanted kids, and assumed I'd know from the jokes he'd made with others. She ended up having a baby with the best friend while I was in Iraq. What made it even worse was that it happened the same year I got seriously injured. I was shot and even took shrapnel to the head. So while I was recovering and calling out her name, she was busy calling out someone else's. We'd been together for over 6 years, high school sweethearts. By the end, we were constantly arguing over petty things. Then she met someone online, a guy very similar to me, living 700 miles away. I didn't want to be the person who controlled her like she had me. So even when it clearly wasn't okay, I told her it was fine. She was honest about it, even asking if I considered it cheating, just because the guy got off to their conversations about kinks. Honestly, why were they even talking about that stuff, yet I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone of the opposite sex? I did everything for her. Cooked, cleaned, did the laundry, and took care of our goofy German Shepherd. I even supported her choice to drop out of high school to be a stay-at-home wife, even though she rarely contributed to making that life work. Meanwhile, I was working 12 hours at a factory, doing almost everything else at home. I didn't mind for the most part, I just didn't know what wasn't okay, and eventually got used to it. About a year ago, I finally made her leave. I even helped pay for her move back to Texas with that guy. I haven't asked for the money back, and honestly, I don't really care. At the end of the day, it's mostly fine. I'm still unpacking the minor trauma I carried from that relationship, always feeling like I wasn't enough, always giving more than I was asked. Now, I just focus on keeping close to people who genuinely want to be in my life. I was with my wife for almost 12 years, married for 6. A couple of months ago, she ended it with the classic line, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore." It hurts, especially since everything seemed normal the night before. Losing my wife, my best friend, my dog, and my home has been really hard. Thankfully, we didn't have kids, which makes the property split a little easier. The holidays certainly amplify the feelings of failure for me, as this is the first time alone in over a decade, but I'm trying my best to push through. If you have a similar story you'd like to share, feel free to leave it down in the comments. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you in the next video.